Good morning, traders, and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Friday, March 20th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're actually trading lower. We're down 0.23. We did rebound earlier this morning, but they've since pulled back. There's still a lot of tension going around with the Middle East. I mean, Saudi Arabia came out and they warned that oil prices could spike further if Iran continues its hostilities. So they're putting pressure on, the governments to kind of say, listen, let's close down these hostilities. Let's, stop doing all these attacks, because sooner or later they're going to go after Saudi Arabia's energy infrastructure, and that would be a real issue. You think, cargo ships is an issue? Imagine if you don't have the oil. That would be a bigger problem. Overnight, the U.S. warplanes, they carried out heavy strikes on Iranian targets along the Strait of Hormuz. And you see that the European nations are kind of warming up to the idea of providing escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is really starting to happen. But, this week, we had a lot of central bank meetings going on. And really, the overall sentiment is much more hawkish than it was a week ago, because there's possible rate hikes coming along with oil, or as, the rising oil prices are really threatening to accelerate inflation, and they got to fight that. So that would mean raising interest rates, not positive for global economics. On the corporate side, SMCI is under pressure this morning. One of the firm's co-founders being charged with selling NVIDIA chips to China during the embargo. So that's a big issue for those guys. MKC, they're in talks to take over the food business from Unilever. There could be something there. Amazon looking to re-enter the smartphone market. Something going on there. What else do we have? We got to talk about the earnings action that's going on. I mean, we have positive earnings results come from Planet Labs, FedEx, and Eton Pharmaceuticals, ETON. They're all trading higher after their releases. And next week we got a host of quality earnings. We got GameStop. We got KBH, Air, Chewy, King Cloud, Paychex, PAYX, Jeffries, and Carnival Cruise, CCL. They're all scheduled to report. Now, okay, let's take a look at the European markets now. Okay, Germany, for example, was up over 200 points. It was up 220 points. Then it fell back down, and it was actually lower by, about 0.2%. And now it's higher by 0.3%. So it's all over the place. It's really, people are betting on oil, and oil is kind of turned from lower to higher back to lower. So that's why you're seeing these fluctuations in the markets this morning. Also, the German producer price index fell 3.3% year over year in February, mainly due to lowering oil prices. But that was before, these are the February numbers, so that was before the war started on February 28th. Okay, then we got to take a look at London, which, London was up, about almost 0.5%. Then it pulled down. It was down about 0.2%, and now it's higher by 0.2%. And the CAC in Paris is up by 0.34%. It did fall down to flat. Luxury stocks are eking out gains, so that's really helping that market. But it is positive by over 0.3% this morning, so that's good and strong. Then we're looking over at Asia last night. Now the Nikkei was closed; they had a national holiday. But, in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng, finished lower by 0.88% with weakness in property shares, techs, and consumer stocks. Shanghai in China finished lower by 1.24%. It really comes down to oil uncertainty. And that's continuing to weigh on global equities. Chinese central bank left interest rates the same, though I will point that out. And now we're turning over to oil. Oil right now is trading lower. It's, WTI is down 1.5%. Brent is down 1.2%. So we got WTI at $94.70 a barrel. We got Brent at 107.32 cents a barrel. Listen, Europe's indicating a willingness to support efforts to ensure passage of cargo ships through the Strait of Hormuz. It's positive. It's a positive headline, but the proof is in the pudding. When are you going to bring the ships in? When is this going to start? I mean, the U.S. did, bomb the coast of the Strait of Hormuz last night. that's kind of helping to, open up a plan to kind of start moving ships through there. But remember, you're talking about these small drones. These small drones are very, they're not very accurate by any means. But, Iran has, tens of thousands of them. And while they're not accurate, they do hold a warhead. They can, and if you hit an oil tanker with a warhead, even a small one, it can cause serious damage. And it's very hard to stop multiple small aerial objects from incoming, and so they're as big as a large bird. So yeah, this is still going to be an issue. And then those comments from Saudi Arabia, I mean, that created some nervousness. They came out and said, listen, these hostilities are going to need to stop. Otherwise, we're going to see oil prices spike higher. But it seems to be common. The rhetoric seems to be dying down. Trump is laying a lot of the blame off on Israel, which is expected, and he's saying, "Listen, we're no longer going to target any oil infrastructure," and that's kind of helping to, push down the price of oil this morning. So we got to keep an eye on that, because that's the key to the equity markets right now. Okay, we're moving over to earnings right now. We're going to take a look at FedEx, because FedEx really had a blowout report last night, and the stock is up 6.68%. They beat by $1.12, and they did that on higher revenue. Nice to see. Then you got Planet Labs, ticker PL, which is up 19.62% this morning. They beat by a penny on higher revenue, and they both gave good guidance figures. Upcoming, as I said, KBH, Air, GameStop, King Cloud, Chewy, Paychex, Jeffries, Carnival Cruise. These are the reports for next week. They're not huge companies, but they will be creating some volatility in the markets when they start releasing next week. In terms of Fed news going on today, economic events going on, listen, the big one is the only real report I see out there is the Baker Hughes rig count that's coming out like at 1 o'clock. I know Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is going to be speaking tomorrow at the American Society for Public Administration's annual conference. Okay, but yesterday we get the jobless claims numbers that they came in at 205. Remember, expectations were for 215K reading. That's positive. It shows a stable, employment market, and that's what we at least want to see. And President Trump is continuing his investigation threats over Jerome Powell's handling of the renovation costs at its Washington headquarters. Now, Powell's term is set to expire in May, but his Kevin Walsh is expected to go through the hearings to be confirmed by the Senate, but that's being held up because Tom Tillis is saying, listen, I'm going to continue to block this confirmation until this investigation with Jerome Powell is resolved, and without a successor, Powell would remain in charge of the Fed. So maybe that's what Trump really wants. I can't tell you. But it looks like, there's no confirmation hearings happening anytime soon because Trump is pushing for the investigation. The administration listens to him. They're going to continue to press it as long as that happens. It does not seem that they're going to be able to confirm Kevin Walsh. So Powell looks to be Fed chair for a little longer than May. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, let's move on and let's talk about the stocks that are moving this morning. We've got to start with Amazon, ticker AMZN. A number of news stories that came out on Amazon, overnight and this morning. Stock is lower by about 0.4%. I wouldn't be surprised if that turned. The fact is they're acquiring a Roblox startup firm, River. And NVIDIA is planning to sell 1 million GPUs to Amazon by the end of next year. That's kind of positive. Google's out there. Their new AI shopping features is getting big buy-ins from big retail. That's positive for Google overall. Stock is trading down about 0.7% this morning. And then we got to talk about Meta. Meta's planning to reduce its reliance on third-party contractors for content moderation. They want to move over. They want to switch over and move over to AI type tools. Stock's down about 2%, 0.2% this morning. Tesla, faces an expanded probe into its self-driving functions. Yeah, that should be expected. Self-driving, that's a big hurdle. any type of probe into it is expected, and I wouldn't call that a negative one. It could actually be a little positive. Okay, we're moving over to Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we're talking about NVIDIA. Because SMCI, prosecutors say that tech executives from SMCI were smuggling NVIDIA chips into China during the embargo. That's not good. I mean, so, it shows you the value of these NVIDIA chips. Microsoft OpenAI is set to unify ChatGPT and Codex platform and into a browser super app. I don't know if Microsoft's going to like this too much because they make a ton of money off of their browser, and they don't really want competition. That's for sure. We'll have to see how that goes on. PBH, Paul Boy Henry. This is Prestige Consumer Healthcare. They're acquiring Breathe Right for $1.045 billion. McKesson MKC Unilever confirms that they're in talks with McCormick, not McKesson, talks with McCormick over its food business sale. And in terms of guidance news, FedEx, they raised their full year 2026 EPS view to $19.30 to $20.10. Street estimate was $18.66. That's a big uptick. Planet Labs sees their Q1 revenue coming in 87 to 91 million. Street estimate had it at 83. Nice uptick, guys. Nice uptick. Okay, now we're moving on, and we're going to talk about today's pick of the day. I got to tell you something. There's no earnings coming out. We're getting into that period where it gets a little light. So I got to focus on other issues. And I really like Boeing. I mean, at this 201 level, it's cheap. And, it's really been weakening hard lately. I mean, it was trading 230. Now it's trading 201. So, the turnaround story remains intact with Boeing. I mean, they've come out with some really good headlines. The major brokers continue to provide positive price targets on the stock. 270, 290 is what they're saying. So, average that out, 280. The stock's trading at 201. I mean, yeah, there could be something there. Now, yesterday's call volume wasn't exactly positive, but the stock really had a negative day. I mean, we're talking 84,000 on the call side versus 192,000 on the put side. But the open interest is key here because the open interest tells you, gives you a more overall picture, an overall view. And you got 498K on the call side, you got 391 on the put side. So yeah, I'm still positive on Boeing. I'm hoping to get it around 201 this morning. And I think that we could see a nice little rally, at least 1% this morning. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the stocks that are hitting the market over the last 15, 20 minutes and see if we see anything really exciting that could move markets. Michelle Bowman, I'm still concerned about the jobs market. I've written in 3 cuts for this year, she said. That's positive for the S&Ps. I don't know if we'll have 3 cuts, but interesting. IP, International Paper, plans to build a sustainable package facility in Mississippi. Supermicron, SMCI down 27% this morning following that export violation. Let's see, what else we got here? NewsWare's NVS is buying breast cancer treatment for up to $3 billion from Synovation. Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO, they got 1 FDA approval for a higher dose of Wegovy, delivering a 20.7% weight loss. Tesla's in talks with China firms to buy $2.9 billion worth of solar equipment. Alaska Air, ALK, they're under investigation because of a close call with a flight came too close to a FedEx airplane. But both were trying to land at Newark Airport recently. Wall Street Bank's capital would fall 4.8% under softening rules for regulators unveiled on Thursday. Unilever said it was in talks with U.S.-based McCormick and Company about selling its food business. Potential deal would bring together its Hellmann's and Knorr's brands with McCormick's Cholula hot sauce. Could be something there. All right, that's all I see. Okay, now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about yesterday's pick of the day, which was Micron and how to do. I mean, stock opened up at $424.50. I was looking for $425. And then from there, it ran, and it hit a high of $457.22 before closing at $444. That's a $20 move from where I was talking about getting in, that which easily beats the 1%. So you got to like that Micron call yesterday. That was a real winner. Okay, guys, that concludes today's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.